Aaron Hall appears to have ratted out Diddy, claiming they have been together doing intimate stuff, and this has come up after the two have recently been slapped with a new abuse lawsuit, allegedly.
I like for them to see how I like if you speak to Jodeci or Puffy or any of them, they've been at my house, they all see me, they all know I'm a.
In the reported new lawsuit, the Jane Doe plaintiff alleged that Combs and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall took turns assaulting her and a friend after an event at Uptown Records in the early 1990s.
Sean Diddy Combs faces his third lawsuit, allegations of the 1990s incident with Aaron Hall.
This new situation has taken the public by storm, considering the fact that it is the third time the two singers have been accused of misconduct, and most are suggesting that the two be thrown in jail. So what's going on with Diddy's new lawsuit? And how did Aaron rat him out to avoid going to jail? Let us get into it. The 1990s, a defining decade for R&B and hip-hop, witnessed the meteoric rise of Aaron Hall and Sean Combs, artists who became synonymous with the era's sound and style. Behind the scenes, however, a different story was unfolding, one that would later cast a shadow over their glittering careers.
I like for them to see how I like if you speak to Jodeci or Puffy or any of them, they've been at my house, they all see me, they all know I'm a.
Aaron Hall, once the golden voice of R&B, found his legacy tarnished by a scandal that emerged as unexpectedly as a bolt from the blue. It was during an interview, a setting often reserved for self-promotion and storytelling, that Hall inadvertently let slip a secret that would send ripples through the music industry. This slip of the tongue revealed that he had once forced himself on a girl.
I took her! Me and Gloria's cool. We got cool in 2 weeks. You feel me? I'm a boss.
The revelation pointed to an alleged assault scandal involving Diddy, a scenario that seemed almost inconceivable given his stature. Hall, caught in the moment, had unearthed a story that many thought was buried deep in the annals of the industry's untold narratives. He had just told the world of how he defiled a young Gloria in the presence of other big names in the industry, including Diddy.
I was actually in the studio when he recorded that. We just started dating.
You are live.
Swear to God, I was 16.
This incident wasn't just a fleeting controversy. It was a window into the darker side of fame, where the glitz and glamour often mask stories of exploitation and misconduct. The story took a poignant turn with the emergence of Patra, a celebrated female artist in the reggae and dancehall scene. Her abrupt disappearance from the music industry raised questions, leading to revelations about her interactions with Aaron Hall. Patra, known for her vibrant energy and unique contributions to the music scene, found her career trajectory altered dramatically, a change that many attributed to Hall's influence. The allegations suggested a pattern of abusive behavior from Hall, extending beyond the confines of his personal life into his professional interactions. Patra, once a rising star, reportedly faced situations with Hall that were fraught with tension and discomfort. Accounts from those close to the situation painted a picture of a working relationship marred by intimidation and inappropriate behavior. The specifics of these allegations were troubling. Reports indicated that Hall's conduct towards Patra was not only unprofessional, but also crossed into the realm of harassment and emotional abuse. This behavior allegedly included instances of public humiliation and private confrontations, which significantly impacted Patra's well-being and her decision to step back from the industry. As these details came to light, the narrative around Aaron Hall shifted. The charming R&B singer was now seen in a different light, as someone whose actions had real and damaging consequences on his peers. Patra's story, in particular, highlighted the challenges faced by women in the music industry, especially when dealing with powerful male figures. Her withdrawal from the music scene became a symbol of the broader issues of power imbalance and the need for a safer, more respectful working environment in the industry.
The break that I took was very important to me because I realized that if I didn't do that, I probably won't even be around to.
The unfolding saga has taken a deeper turn with the emergence of a third lawsuit against Sean Combs, as reported in a detailed Rolling Stone article. This lawsuit, originating from incidents in the early 90s, has added a new layer to the complex tapestry of allegations surrounding Combs. The specifics of this case were particularly harrowing, involving claims of assault that not only implicated Combs, but also brought Aaron Hall back into the spotlight, suggesting a collaborative wrongdoing. The lawsuit detailed an incident that allegedly occurred during a party, a common setting in the music industry, where the lines between professional conduct and personal indulgence often blur. According to the allegations, Combs engaged in behavior that was not only inappropriate, but also criminal. The claims described a scenario where Combs, leveraging his position of power, subjected an individual to unwanted advances and assault. The new complaint from an anonymous accuser alleges Combs and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall took turns assaulting the plaintiff and her friend in 1990 or 1991, and that Diddy turned violent during a rage days later. In the filing, obtained by Rolling Stone, Jane Doe alleges she and her friend met Diddy and Hall at an event hosted by MCA Records, the distributor of Uptown Records, at the company's offices in New York. Combs and Hall were very flirtatious and handsy with Jane Doe and her friend, offering them drinks throughout the night, the filing reads. As the event was winding down, the two singers allegedly invited the women back to Hall's apartment for an after-party. While at Hall's apartment, the victim was offered more drinks and coerced into having sex with Combs, the filing continued. After Combs finished doing his business, Jane Doe lay in bed, shocked and traumatized. As she was in the process of getting dressed, Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and forced her to get intimate with him. The complaint claimed Jane Doe quickly got dressed and fled from Hall's residence after the alleged R. It alleges she later spoke to her friend and learned the other woman had been forced to have sex with Combs and Hall in another room. Upon information and belief, when Combs finished with Jane Doe, he and Hall switched, the paperwork stated. A couple of days after the alleged assaults, Combs allegedly visited the home where Jane Doe and her friend were staying and turned violent. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Jane Doe to the point that she passed out, the complaint alleged. Combs was searching for Jane Doe's friend because he was worried that she would tell the girl he was with at the time what he and Hall had done to them. Alongside Hall and Combs, the suit names MCA, Music Entertainment, and Geffen Records as defendants. This revelation was significant, not just for its content, but for the time period it covered. The early 90s were a pivotal era for both Combs and Hall, a time when their careers were on the rise and their influence in the industry was growing. The allegations painted a starkly different picture of this period, one that contrasted sharply with the public image both artists had cultivated. As the details of the lawsuit became public, they prompted a re-examination of Combs's and Hall's legacies. The music industry, once a space where such incidents were whispered about but rarely confronted, began to grapple with the realities of its own culture. This narrative not only highlighted the alleged actions of Combs and Hall, but also underscored the need for accountability and change within an industry often characterized by excess and a lack of oversight. The public and media reaction to the allegations against Aaron Hall and Sean Combs was a complex tapestry of shock, disbelief, and a gradual re-evaluation of the artists' legacies. Once celebrated for their contributions to the music industry, Hall and Combs now found themselves at the center of a storm that questioned the very foundations of their public personas. The allegations, particularly those involving misconduct, sent ripples through their fan bases and the broader music community. Fans, who had long idolized these artists for their musical genius, were now forced to confront a dissonant reality where their heroes were implicated in serious and disturbing accusations. This shift in perception was not just a personal reckoning for the fans, but also a cultural moment that reflected the changing attitudes toward celebrity and accountability. Media outlets, which had once chronicled the successes and glamorous lifestyles of Hall and Combs, now delved into the darker aspects of their stories. investigative reports and in-depth analyses began to surface, offering a more nuanced view of the allegations. These reports did not just focus on the sensational aspects of the scandal, but also highlighted the systemic issues within the music industry that allowed such behavior to go unchecked for years. The incident sparked discussions about the role of power and fame in obscuring the truth. The narrative around Hall and Combs became a case study of how public figures can leverage their influence to evade scrutiny, and how the glitz of the entertainment world can often mask deeper, more troubling realities. As the story unfolded, it became a catalyst for a broader conversation about ethics, responsibility, and the need for a more transparent and accountable entertainment industry. The allegations against Aaron Hall and Sean Combs gained an additional layer of gravity in the context of the Me Too movement. This global movement, which had already begun reshaping conversations around misconduct, provided a new lens through which to view the accusations against these music industry giants. The stories of Hall and Combs were no longer isolated incidents, but part of a larger discourse on power dynamics, consent, and accountability in spaces marked by fame and influence. The Me Too movement, with its emphasis on giving voice to survivors and challenging systemic abuse, cast the allegations in a new light. It underscored the importance of listening to and validating the experiences of those who had been silenced or marginalized. In the case of Hall and Combs, it meant re-examining their actions not just as personal failings, but as manifestations of a broader culture that often condoned or ignored such behavior. The lawsuits and accusations brought against them were not just personal or professional setbacks. They were serious legal challenges that could have far-reaching consequences. The legal proceedings, often complex and drawn out, became a focal point for discussions about justice and the efficacy of the legal system in addressing such high-profile cases. Moreover, the Me Too movement's influence on the music industry became increasingly evident. The industry, once seen as a bastion of creative freedom and boundary pushing, was now being called to account for its role in perpetuating a culture where abuse and misconduct could thrive. These revelations served as a wake-up call, highlighting the need for a cultural shift within an industry that had long been characterized by a laissez-faire attitude towards issues of consent and power dynamics. The experiences of Hall and Combs, while unique in their specifics, were emblematic of systemic issues that had plagued the music world for decades. This period of reckoning brought forth a dialogue about the silence that often surrounds instances of abuse in the entertainment industry. It sheds light on the power imbalances that can enable such behavior, particularly in an environment where fame and success are often seen as shields against accountability. The stories of Hall and Combs underscored the vulnerability of individuals, especially emerging artists, within this ecosystem. The industry's response to these scandals was telling. There was a growing recognition of the need for policies and structures that could prevent such incidents from occurring in the first place. Discussions about creating safer work environments, establishing clearer codes of conduct, and providing support for victims of abuse gained traction. These conversations were not just about punitive measures, but also about fostering a culture of respect and dignity. Their narrative prompted introspection about the role of fans and media in perpetuating the cult of celebrity that can obscure serious issues. It became clear that change was not just the responsibility of those within the industry, but also of those who consume and support it. These narratives, fraught with allegations and legal battles, have not only reshaped the legacies of the individuals involved, but also sparked a broader conversation about the dynamics of power, fame, and accountability in the entertainment world. The impact of these stories extends beyond the personal downfalls of Hall and Combs. They have catalyzed a much-needed introspection within the music industry, prompting artists, executives, and fans alike to confront the often uncomfortable realities that lurk beneath the surface of glamour and success. The industry, once reluctant to address issues of misconduct, is now grappling with the imperative to reform and evolve. This period of reflection and reckoning has also highlighted the role of the public and media in shaping and responding to such narratives. The way these stories were received and discussed reflects a changing societal attitude towards issues of consent and abuse of power. It's a shift that signifies a growing awareness and a refusal to overlook or excuse behavior that was once dismissed or ignored. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.